The sky above Earth changed without warning. It started as a bright, calm day. People across cities looked up, confused, as a massive shadow covered the sun. Birds scattered. Power grids flickered. Phones stopped working. A low, trembling sound moved through the atmosphere like a distant storm. Then the clouds split open. A gigantic alien warship slowly descended from orbit, dark and metallic, shaped like a floating fortress. Its surface glowed with strange blue patterns, like living circuits. Smaller ships swarmed around it like insects, forming a perfect attack formation. No message, no warning, no peace talk. The Galactic Empire had arrived to them. Earth was only a weak world full of primitive lifeforms, a resource planet, nothing more. Inside the alien flagship, tall armored beings watched screens showing Earth's weapons, tanks, missiles, jets, soldiers with rifles, metal everywhere. One alien tactician clicked his mandibles and laughed. Iron weapons. How do they even survive? Their technology is still in the Fire Age. Another officer agreed. Their metals are soft. Their weapons are slow. This will be finished in hours. At the center of the command room stood the Imperial commander, tall and cold, his armor glowing with deep crimson lines. He watched humans run in panic across city streets. Begin the invasion. No mercy. Earth will fall by sunset. The ships moved. The world froze. News broadcasts tried to report, but signals failed. Military bases lost communication. Governance had no plan for something like this. Fighters scrambled into the sky, but the alien ships jammed radar and GPS. Humans watched the invasion rise above them like a nightmare, but something strange happened. The world expected nuclear launches, lasers, satellites, cyber attacks, but none of that came. Instead, old communication lines turned on. Underground bunkers opened. Long-abandoned steel bunkers powered up like sleeping giants. A secret command channel, activated after decades of silence. In an abandoned military facility beneath a mountain, a small group of armored soldiers prepared for battle. Their armor was futuristic, yet their weapons were crafted from iron, steel, and hardened alloys. Crossbows, swords, axes, railguns, firing metal rounds. No plasma, no lasers. They were different from normal soldiers, more like guardians from another age. Among them stood a calm woman with a crossbow made of polished wood and steel. Her armor was scratched but strong, shaped for mobility more than protection. Straps across her chest held iron bolts engraved with strange markings. She stared at a holographic map, showing alien troop landings. "They think we are weak," she said quietly. "They don't know why Earth still uses iron." Beside her, a soldier carrying a heavy rifle nodded. "Good. Let them underestimate us." Another fighter lifted a massive battlefield axe, rested it on his shoulder, and smirked. "We survived every age before. We'll survive this too." No one spoke after that. The room filled with distant explosions from the surface. Alien dropships landed in ruined cities. Tall armored troops marched forward, with glowing rifles and energy shields. The invading soldiers scanned for resistance. The scans confused them. No energy signatures. No advanced power. "This world is silent," their leader laughed. "Primitive species. This will be easy." But something moved under the smoke, a quiet whistle in the wind. Then snapped an iron arrow fired from a rooftop, piercing through an alien soldier's shield and armor like paper. The alien collapsed instantly, sparks and blue blood spraying out. Shock spread through the invading troops. Shields failed. Weapon unknown. A second shot came, this time a heavy metal round from a railgun punched through 3 aliens at once before exploding against a transport ship. Humans emerged from rubble, from tunnels, from broken buildings, silent, coordinated, armed with metal weapons instead of digital tech. Their armor was iron, not powered. Their weapons were ancient in design but deadly in effect. The aliens panicked. "Why does metal bypass our shields? This technology should not work." But humans knew the truth. Earth did not survive history by being advanced. Earth survived by being dangerous. The alien commander watched. Audio feeds from the battlefield. Every engagement showed one pattern. Iron weapons cut through their technology, like a knife through cloth. He narrowed his eyes. Impossible. No species evolves around a metal that counters our energy fields. A scientist near him trembled. "Commander, what if they did not evolve by accident?" Silence. The commander's voice lowered. "Are you saying Earth is a survivor world?" The scientist replied, "I am saying something ancient forced them to adapt, something the Empire once feared." The commander turned toward Earth for the first time. He did not feel confident. He felt afraid. And far below, the humans marched forward, their armor shining under the firelit sky. The Age of Iron was waking up. Smoke still hung over the ruined city like a dark blanket. Fires burned in broken buildings. The sky flashed with explosions as alien ships circled above, trying to locate hidden resistance. The first attack had shocked the Empire. No one expected iron arrows, metal spikes, and kinetic weapons to tear through advanced shields. Alien soldiers regrouped behind wrecked vehicles, dragging wounded troops as sparks leaked from torn armor. A young alien officer shouted in panic, Their weapons cut through our barriers. How do we defend ourselves? His superior grabbed him by the throat and growled, "These are primitive tools. They cannot defeat the Empire. We will adapt." But even he sounded unsure. The alien commander broadcast a message to all ground units: increase shield frequency, switch to magnetic mode. Humanity will fall. Yet every adjustment failed. Ion to find out iron cut deeper than before, like the shields were reacting wrong, bending instead of blocking. Something ancient was happening here, something the Empire did not understand. Deep underground, the resistance moved silently through dust-covered tunnels. Their armor glowed faintly in the dim lights, metal plates reinforced with dark iron alloys. No digital HUDs, no energy shields, no signals the aliens could track. Their leader, the woman with the crossbow, studied a layout of alien deployment zones printed on worn metal sheets instead of digital screens. A soldier beside her adjusted a heavy rifle with iron-coated rounds. They're pushing south. They think we will fall back to shelters. Another soldier, carrying the double-bladed axe, smiled faintly. Let them think. They chase ghosts while we break their legs. The woman nodded. We strike fast. We stay unseen. We don't fight their war. We force them to fight ours. The group prepared quietly. No battle cry, no panic. Just calm, trained movement like they had done this before. The Empire sent armored walkers, four-legged machines powered by plasma cores. Their cannons glowed blue, firing bursts that melted concrete into glass. The machines marched across the ruined streets, scanning for movement. A lone human emerged from the shadows, wearing scorched armor and holding a circular iron shield. The alien machines aimed instantly. Target detected, eliminate. But before they fired, the human slammed the shield into the ground. A magnetic shockwave rippled outward, silent, invisible. The walkers froze, their legs locked, plasma cores flickered, blue lights turned red. Their systems weren't damaged, they were corrupted. The shockwave made their energy fields collapse inward, crushing components under their own forces. One machine folded like paper, collapsing into a heap of metal. A human squad rushed forward, firing iron rounds that ripped through exposed cores. Explosions shook the street. The aliens watching from a distance were horrified. How do they disable our machines without hacking? A human sniper answered through action. An iron bolt pierced the officer's helmet and pinned him to a wall. Inside the alien flagship, alarms blazed. The commander watched. Battlefield reports filled the screens, each marked with red distress signals. Losses increasing, shields failing, machines collapsing, troops retreating. He slammed his fist against the console. How does a primitive world break our technology? The scientist bowed, speaking carefully. Commander, I studied the metal samples recovered from battle. He displayed an image of iron under magnification. The metal wasn't ordinary, it reacted to energy in a unique way. Iron disrupts quantum energy fields. It bends power back on itself. Our shields amplify the damage instead of stopping it. The commander stared. Why would a primitive species use such metal in large quantities? The scientist swallowed. Maybe they are not primitive. Maybe iron is their evolution. Back underground, the woman spoke to her squad while reloading bolts. The aliens don't understand iron. They never faced anything like it. A younger soldier asked, "How do we know so much about them?" She paused. "Because we fought enemies like them before." The room went silent. This was not humanity's first war against starfaring beings. This was history repeating itself, history long erased. Night fell. Ash drifted through the sky like black snow. The Empire prepared a full planetary strike. Hundreds of ships descended, ready to burn cities to the ground. But beneath Earth's surface, ancient bunkers opened, massive iron gates sliding apart, revealing hidden chambers filled with weapons forged from another age. Swords, armor, railguns, siege cannons firing molten iron shells. A deep voice echoed through the cavern. The Age of Iron is not ancient. A giant cannon powered up, metal glowing red-hot. It is reborn. Humans prepared to launch a counterattack that would shake the galaxy. The Empire came to conquer. They would leave in pieces. Night sky above Earth burned with falling fire. Alien ships orbited like metal predators, preparing their next strike. Every hour, more troops landed. Every hour, new weapons appeared. Plasma cannons, armored carriers, hover tanks. The Empire believed numbers would force humans into surrender, but surrender never came. Instead, humans fought smarter. They disappeared into tunnels, ambushed from rooftops, and struck machines with iron weapons that should not have worked. The alien soldiers called it madness, but deep inside their flagship, fear was growing. The metal doors hissed open as scientists crowded around floating holograms of human weapons. Crossbow bolts, axes, bullets, broken armor pieces. Every sample shared the same strange property. They reacted violently to energy. One scientist tapped the display with trembling claws. This is not natural iron. It is alloyed with carbon, forged under heat, shaped by hand. They refined it, on purpose. Another scientist shook his head. Why would a primitive species choose metal that destroys advanced machines? Silence fell. Then the lead researcher spoke. Commander, we checked our history archives. He tapped a screen, revealing ancient star maps filled with red warning symbols. Iron is not just a metal, it is a weapon that once destroyed an entire galactic species thousands of years ago. The commander froze. I thought those stories were myths. The scientist looked pale. They were not myths. The species was wiped out by iron-based weapons. Their shields worked like ours. The commander's expression changed from anger to dread. If humans evolved on a world where iron is common, then they evolved on a battlefield. Far below the surface, in a sealed underground facility, an old holographic recording flickered to life, activated by returning power. The woman with the crossbow stood silently as ancient images projected into the air, giant shadow creatures covering the earth, attacking ancient cities made of stone and metal. Human warriors fought with iron, not because it was easy, but because it worked. A history long erased. The older soldier beside her whispered, "So it's true. We didn't discover iron, we survived with it." She nodded slowly. Our ancestors fought something worse than the Empire, something that fed on energy, something iron killed. The room fell silent. These soldiers were not chosen randomly, they were descendants of warriors from that forgotten war, and the Empire had no idea. Above the ruins, alien hover tanks moved through destroyed streets, firing plasma bursts at anything that moved. Civilians fled underground while military forces regrouped. Alien commanders tried new tactics: projector-resistant armor, kinetic shielding, anti-metal drones, but nothing worked. A single human with an iron sword leaped from a ruined building, slicing through a hover drone mid-air. The metal blade glowed red from friction, cutting through advanced alloys like they were soft. Another soldier launched explosive, iron-tipped bolts that detonated inside enemy armor. Each attack shook the Empire's belief in their superiority. Why do their primitive weapons defeat us? A dying alien whispered. Because humans were not born weak. He collapsed before finishing the sentence. The alien commander finally snapped. He broadcast a message to all units: capture a human warrior alive. We need answers. Moments later, a squad surrounded a lone fighter, an older man carrying a large axe. Plasma nets wrapped around him, pulling him to the ground. He did not resist, he only smiled. The aliens dragged him into a containment chamber aboard the flagship. Scientists surrounded him, angry, desperate. How do you know iron disrupts our shields? Who taught you? He looked up calmly. We learned by bleeding, by burning, by surviving. The lead scientist slammed his hands on the table. Surviving what? The man leaned forward, whispering, "You're not the first Empire to try." The room fell silent. He continued, "Iron is not cruel. It is honest. It kills what should not exist." On the ship's observation deck, the commander watched Earth rotate below, broken but not defeated. "Maybe we chose the wrong target." The scientist replied softly, "Or maybe the universe warned us, and we ignored history." He showed a final scan results. Iron forged on Earth had a unique signature different from normal iron in space. It resonated with something ancient. This metal does not belong to just Earth, it belongs to whatever fought here long before humans existed. The commander closed his eyes, shaken. Then Earth is not just a planet. The scientist nodded slowly. It is a graveyard. Back underground, the woman prepared her squad for the next battle. The city burned above them, but their resolve only grew stronger. She whispered to herself, "They think iron is our weakness." She loaded a final bolt into her crossbow. "But iron is our legacy." Far above, the alien flagship changed formation, not to attack but to retreat only, temporarily. The Empire had learned fear. In the age of iron was only beginning. The night sky over Earth glowed orange as cities burned beneath falling debris. Alien ships still circled the planet, but their formation had changed. They were no longer advancing, they were holding position, cautious, afraid to get closer to the ground. Human resistance had become unpredictable. Their weapons were simple but devastating. Their armor primitive but resistant. Their tactics old but perfect for war. The Empire realized something unsettling. Humans were fighting like they had done this before. Deep beneath the mountains, metallic doors opened with thunderous echoes. Dust fell from ceilings as ancient machines powered on after decades of silence. Rows of armored rail tanks rolled out, heavy vehicles made from dense iron plating and reinforced steel frames. They lacked energy shields, lacked digital systems, but their cannons fired molten metal rounds at incredible speed. No plasma, no hacking, no signals to jam, just deadly force. The woman with the crossbow stepped forward, her armor reflecting sparks from machinery. "These weapons were built for a war no one remembers," she said quietly. "But they will end this one." A soldier beside her tightened straps on his armor. "We are done hiding. It's time to strike back." The mountain shook as iron-forged cannons rolled toward the surface, ready to face the Empire's machines head-on. At sunrise, the ground trembled. Alien troops were patrolling a ruined city when a deep metallic hum filled the air. They scanned rooftops, expecting hidden humans, but the attack came from below. The road cracked open. and massive iron tanks burst from underground tunnels, firing molten shells that tore through plasma shields and armor plating. The explosions sent alien soldiers flying through smoke. One alien officer screamed, "Retreat!" Their weapons pierce everything. Another shouted back, "There is no retreat. Hold the line." But the tanks kept advancing. Each shot hit harder than the last. The iron shells heated the air, distorting light and shaking metal with shockwaves. No digital frequency or shield barrier could stop them. Human soldiers followed behind the tanks, armed with crossbows, rifles, swords, and axes. They moved with precision, silent, unafraid, coordinated like a forgotten army. Realizing the front line was collapsing, the Empire released its elite soldiers, taller, heavily armored, armed with weapons that crackled with raw plasma. They landed in perfect formation, boots slamming into the ground like thunder. Their armor glowed purple, powered by advanced reactors. For a moment, it seemed victory was shifting. Then a single human stepped forward carrying a sword forged of black iron, long and heavy, etched with ancient symbols. The elite unit laughed. "You challenge us with a blade?" He didn't answer. He ran his sword slammed into the nearest soldier, slicing through armor like wet cloth. The plasma reactor inside the alien suit exploded, sending lightning across the battlefield. Every elite soldier froze in disbelief. Impossible. How does that weapon penetrate? They never finished the sentence. Humans stormed forward, clashing metal against energy, turning the battlefield into chaos. The Empire learned something new that day. Up close, humans were even deadlier than at range. Inside the flagship, rage and fear echoed through command halls. Reports showed entire battalions wiped out by swords, arrows, and metal tanks. A strategist slammed his claws on a console. "Why don't their weapons decay under plasma heat?" The scientist responded shakily, "Because iron bends energy back on itself. The more power we use, the more damage we take." The commander growled. "Then stop using energy weapons. Switch to kinetic mode." The scientist shook his head. "We don't have kinetic weapons. We evolved past metal warfare ages ago." Silence. The Empire, the mightiest power in the galaxy, had forgotten how to fight a physical war, and humanity never stopped fighting one. As the sun set, human forces reached the edge of a major alien landing zone. Hundreds of grounded ships waited, engines glowing, preparing to burn the battlefield in one massive purge. The woman raised her crossbow. "This ends tonight." She loaded a bolt engraved with ancient runes, an iron spearhead fused with hardened alloys. She aimed at the largest landing ship's engine core. One shot, one breath, one release. The bolt struck. A blinding explosion erupted, bright as sunrise. Shock waves ripped across the ground, throwing ships into each other like toys. Engines detonated one by one in a chain reaction. The sky turned white. Aliens screamed. Earth roared as the fire settled. The alien commander stared at the devastation from orbit, his hands trembling. This world should not exist. No species should evolve like this. A transmission arrived from the captive human leader they captured earlier. The man stared calmly into the camera. "You came for conquest." He leaned closer, eyes cold. "But you woke something older." Static crackled. The signal ended. The commander whispered, "What did we just start?" Far below, humans marched through raging flames, weapons raised high. The Age of Iron was no longer defending. The battlefield burned long into the night. Giant alien warships lay broken across the ruined cities, their metal frames twisted and smoking. Human forces moved through the wreckage with quiet discipline, checking for survivors and securing territory. The world had changed in only a few days. Earth was no longer the hunted planet. Earth was now the hunter. But even after victory on the ground, humans knew one truth. The Empire had not been defeated, only wounded. Their flagship still hovered in orbit, its engines pulsing with red light, preparing a final retaliation. The command chamber was chaos. Officers shouted orders, screens flashed red warnings, and soldiers rushed to stations. The commander stood at the center, silent, staring at holographic maps of Earth. Loss after loss, ship after ship, armor shattered, troops destroyed. He clenched his fists. How can millions of years of empire fall to a world of iron? A strategist whispered, "Commander, we should retreat. This planet is cursed." But retreat meant humiliation. Worse, it meant fear spreading through the galaxy. The commander slammed his hand into the console. "No, we will burn the surface. If we cannot conquer Earth, we will erase it." Scientists protested. "Sir, iron disrupts energy blasts. Planetary bombardment may backfire." He glared. "Then we will use gravitational collapse. No energy, pure force." Their plan became clear. Destroy Earth, physically crush continents, shatter the crust, turn the world into dust. Humanity would not survive that. In the underground command chamber, humans intercepted alien signals through old wired communication. A soldier rushed in, breathless. "They're preparing a global strike from orbit. This time it's not plasma. It's worse." Everyone fell silent. The woman with the iron crossbow looked up at the ceiling, as if seeing the warship through stone. "They won't stop until we stop them." Another soldier loaded iron cartridges into a heavy cannon. We won our world. Now we take the fight to their sky. The man with the massive axe rested its blade on his shoulder. We finished this. Across the world, hidden bunkers opened again, this time not for defense, but for launch. Huge metallic platforms rose to the surface, each holding iron-forged missiles and rail cannons. Their warheads glowed red with heat, powered not by radiation, but by compressed metal charge. Simple, brutal, impossible to intercept. Night fell, but the horizon flickered with light as thousands of iron missiles launched at once. No heat signatures, no electronic guidance, nothing the Empire's systems could detect. They rose into the sky like ancient spears thrown by giants. The flagship shook violently as impacts struck its hull. Armor plates buckled. Energy shields collapsed. Docked ships exploded on contact as molten metal tore through reactors. An officer screamed. "They are hitting us faster than we can repair." The commander stared, breathless. They're fighting a space war with iron. Amid the chaos, a massive transport, an old human vessel, retrofitted with thick metal plating, slammed into the flagship's hull like a battering ram. The ship didn't hack into the hull. It broke into it. The hull split open, sparks flying as iron blades and heavy boots crashed into the corridors. Human warriors stormed inside, swords drawn, guns firing iron rounds that tore through robotic guards. This wasn't a boarding mission, it was an invasion. The woman led the charge, crossbow glowing red from heat. "Push forward. We end this now." Aliens fought back with desperation, firing plasma blasts down narrow corridors. Humans deflected blasts with iron shields. Plasma destabilized on contact, spraying sparks harmlessly across walls. One alien soldier fell to his knees, terrified. "You are not primitive. You are death." No one answered. They kept moving. Human forces reached the main reactor core, a massive chamber filled with pulsing red energy. The commander stood there waiting, surrounded by elite guards. He drew a long, crackling spear. "You cannot win. The Empire spans 1,000 worlds." The woman raised her crossbow. "Then we free 1,000 worlds." A final clash erupted. Iron blades against energy weapons. Sparks flying. The air thick with heat and smoke. Humans fought with rage and purpose. Aliens fought with fear and desperation. In the end, the commander fell pierced through the chest by an iron bolt. His last words were a whisper. "You were forged for war, and we never saw it." He collapsed, armor cracking like glass. The reactor hummed, unstable. Humans stepped back as alarms rang through the ship. The ship began to fall toward Earth, burning through atmosphere. Flames curled across cracked windows. Explosions tore through corridors. The woman looked at her team. "This ship cannot crash. Millions will die." The man with the axe nodded. "Then we stop it." From the inside, the flagship spun downward, the planet rushing closer. Time running out. Earth watching. Humanity was not fighting to win anymore, they were fighting to survive the universe. Again. The alien flagship tore through the upper atmosphere like a dying star. Flames wrapped around its hull. Metal screamed as it cracked and peeled away, and massive chunks fell toward the oceans below. The world watched in terror as the burning shadow crossed the night sky. This was no longer just a battle, it was a falling mountain. If it crashed, millions would die, cities erased, oceans boiling, continents shaking. In the command chamber, alarms echoed like war drums. Red lights flashed across cracked screens, sparks poured from shattered wires, and smoke filled the corridors. Humans and aliens alike struggled to keep their balance as the ship shook violently. The woman steadied herself against a broken console. "We need to take control of the descent." A soldier behind her coughed through smoke. "Engines are gone. Navigation offline. If we don't stop the reactor, this entire planet will be vaporized." The man with the heavy axe slammed his fist against the wall. "Then we separate the reactor, dump it into space." The engineer beside him shook his head. "That's impossible from here. The controls are locked." Deep in the central nexus, silence settled. Everyone knew what that meant. Someone had to go, knowing they might not come back. The woman picked up a crossbow and looked at the group. "I'll do it." But the man with the axe stepped forward. "No, you led us here. You finish the fight outside. I'll finish it inside." The woman met his eyes. She knew arguing would only waste precious seconds. She nodded once, heavy and slow. "If you fail, the world dies." He smiled faintly. "Then I won't fail." Through the corridor windows, Earth's curvature filled the horizon. Clouds rushed past. The ship descended faster and faster, breaking apart piece by piece. The woman led the escape team toward the docking bay, carving through alien security systems with brutal efficiency. Iron bolts ringing off walls like thunder behind her. The man with the axe turned toward the reactor chamber, limping from earlier injuries, but determined. Not a hero, just a human who refused to surrender. His core glowed like a dying sun, unstable energy pulsing in violent waves. Machinery had melted from heat. Aliens lay dead or unconscious from radiation bursts. He dragged himself forward, sweat burning his eyes. Panels displayed countdown warnings. He set his axe down and pulled open a manual override hatch with his bare hands. skin tearing against jagged metal. There were no digital controls left, just gears, bolts, levers. Ancient, manual engineering, something only humans understood. He whispered, "Metal saves us again." He grabbed the emergency release bar and pulled with all his strength. The ship groaned. The core detached from its housing, shaking the entire vessel. Outside, the woman felt the impact through the floor. A soldier shouted, "Reactor separation confirmed." The woman didn't smile. That means he did it. But she also knew what came next. Separating the reactor didn't stop its energy buildup. Someone had to eject it into space. Manually, emergency doors sealed around the man. Heat flooded the chamber. He stumbled back toward the final release lever, the one that would launch the core away from Earth. He pressed his hand to the metal. It was burning hot, glowing red. He closed his eyes. For all of us, he pulled the lever. A violent shockwave shook the ship as the reactor shot into the sky, pushed into space on raw explosive force. The explosion lit the clouds, but far above the planet, high enough to save Earth in the cockpit. The woman saw the explosion fade into the heavens. She whispered he did it. But when she looked at the ship's interior display, her breath caught. He was gone. Not forgotten. Gone. With the reactor gone, the ship lost half its mass and its fall slowed. The woman and the remaining fighters reached escape pods and crashed into the ocean as the broken flagship plunged into the sea moments later, sending a massive wave across the horizon. The world felt the impact. But it survived. Cities shook. Mountains trembled. But humanity lived in the days that followed. Pieces of alien technology washed ashore. Human engineers studied every broken part, every strange wire, every piece of armor. Not to fear it, to learn from it. The woman stood on a cliff, overlooking the sea where the ship had fallen. Wind pulled her hair back, and waves crashed far below. She held the iron crossbow to her chest. Silent, a soldier approached. "We found fragments of their navigation logs. There are maps to other worlds, other planets under their rule." She did not look away from the ocean. "Then we are not done." The soldier nodded, understanding. "Will we fight again?" She finally turned, eyes cold and determined. "We will not wait for the next invasion." She raised her weapon. "We take the fight to the stars." End of Season 1. Earth had survived, but humanity had changed forever. They were no longer victims. They were no longer prey. They had become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. 3 months passed since the alien flagship crashed into Earth's oceans. The world rebuilt slowly, but humanity did not return to silence. Factories ran day and night. Scientists worked with new alien metals. Soldiers trained with new weapons. Earth was no longer preparing for defense, it was preparing to leave. The woman stood inside a massive hangar where humans were building their first interstellar ships. The construction site stretched across a desert valley, steel towers rising like new mountains, lights glowing like stars across scaffolding. Rows of engineers welded alien metals into human shapes. Sparks fell like golden rain. At the center stood the first completed ship, a hybrid of human steel and alien technology. Its hull was sharp and angular, covered in armor that shimmered like dark chrome. Engines glowed faint blue, powered by what humans now called reforged plasma cores. The woman walked forward, boots echoing on metal flooring. She traced her fingers along the ship's hull. "He would have wanted to see this," she whispered. A voice behind her responded, "He will be remembered in every battle we fight." It was the man with the rifle. He wore updated armor, lighter, stronger, and with glowing circuit lines running across the chest plate. He stared up at the ship with a grim smile. "We learned that technology in 3 months. It took them centuries to perfect it." The woman nodded slowly. "That's why they feared us." Suddenly alarms blared across the hangar. Red lights flashed, screens lit up with warnings. Soldiers ran toward control stations. A transmission was coming in. The woman and her squad hurried to the command center. The holographic screen flickered, filled with static and distorted symbols. It wasn't from Earth, it was alien. A voice, sharp and eerie, crackled through the speakers. "Human survivors, your victory was an error. The Empire will return. Your planet will be corrected." The screen shifted to show a massive alien council chamber. Dozens of alien leaders watched in silent judgment. Their armor was darker, more advanced, marked with crimson patterns. One alien stepped forward, eyes burning orange. "Your kind spreads like infection. If you leave your world, we will end not just Earth, but the species." The woman leaned forward, expression like carved stone. "We do not fear you anymore." The alien stared, silent. She continued on, her words hit like iron. "Next time we won't wait for you to come. We're coming to you." The transmission cut. A soldier spoke softly. "So, this is war." The woman shook her head. "No, this is payback." Training the new army across Earth. Recruitment centers overflowed. Volunteers from every nation, every age, every culture joined. Farmers turned pilots, engineers turned weapon tech students, turned soldiers, veterans became commanders. The world united not under a government, but under survival. Every soldier trained with new hybrid weapons, iron plasma rifles, energy-charged blades, magnetic bolt launchers, armor reinforced with alien alloys. They learned zero-gravity combat, orbital strike tactics, and space-boarding operations. Satellites scanned deep space for incoming fleets. The woman watched new recruits train in a simulation chamber. She noticed a young girl aiming a rifle with fierce focus. "Why did you join?" the woman asked. The girl lowered her weapon. "My brother died when the flagship fell. I don't want anyone else to lose family." The woman placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then fight with purpose, not anger." The girl nodded. "Yes, Commander." The launch, the Iron Dawn, powered up. Thrusters roared like thunder. The ground shook as the ship rose slowly toward the sky, engines burning brighter than the sun. The woman stood in front of the loading ramp with her squad behind her, the rifleman, calm but ready, the engineer, carrying a new plasma torch. The girl, now an official soldier and dozens of new fighters, a voice announced across intercom speakers, "Iron Dawn is cleared for space departure." The woman turned to her team. "Remember, we are not explorers." She raised her crossbow, now upgraded with glowing metal limbs. "We are the vengeance of Earth." The squad boarded the ship. Doors sealed shut. Gravity shifted as engines pushed them upward. Earth shrank beneath them. Stars opened ahead. Into the darkness as the ship entered space. Lights dimmed and panels lit with alien symbols now rewritten in English. The woman stepped onto the bridge, eyes fixed on the holographic star map. Red markers appeared in Noma-controlled systems. She pointed at the nearest one. "Set course." The pilot entered coordinates. Jump drive locked. The stars outside stretched into white lines. Space bent. The ship hummed with unimaginable power. The woman spoke the final order. "Begin humanity's first war beyond Earth." The ship jumped into hyperspace. A silent promise followed behind them like a shadow. Humanity survived the first invasion. Now, humanity was becoming the invasion.